Today is the very first episode of our, podcast, and without wasting any time, let's just jump into the topic of today that is about digital marketing. So we have Roman with us. Hey, Roman, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good myself. Thank you very much for asking. So, Roman, actually, a lot of my friends and a lot of my, like the community members, they all had a very, like a very important question, and that is about, of course, digital marketing.
Uh-huh.
They were like, what is the major role that this marketing plays in any sort of business?
Okay, so first I'll tell you one thing. I've been doing digital marketing since 2011. So I've seen the traditional marketing, that is billboards and flyers and brochures and TV ads, TV commercials, and then there's beautiful models and millions of dollars being spent on ads, right? And then I've seen the digital marketing pivot in the past decade, more than a decade, right? So what I've seen is that getting into digital marketing for a small business is much, much, much easier compared to getting into the bigger game that is a TV commercial. For example, if you want to go for a TV commercial, that means you're going to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars in shooting that ad first. And then you need to buy media spots on TV, right? That has another cost to it, hundreds and thousands of dollars again. Whereas in digital marketing, you can just literally pick up your phone, start shooting, get an editor on board, do it in a few $1,000s, and then start spending a few $1,000s on ads. Meta, Google, Snapchat, TikTok. There are so many platforms out there now. So that way, for a small business, digital marketing is much easier, it's more convenient, and most importantly, it's cost effective. The return on investment is measurable, it's white and black, there's no gray area, whereas you don't know how many people see your billboard on the road, right? So you can't count it. You can give an estimation, but you can't count every person who's walking down that road and looking at that billboard, or if they're not looking at that billboard. But on digital, you know the reach, you know the impressions, you know how many people are clicking on the ad, you know what age group of people are clicking on the ad, you know where they are taking their ads from, what devices they're using as well. They're using it on their desktop, on their mobile, iOS, Android, Windows. So you have so much data to play around. So that way, digital marketing is much, much easier for a small business now than it was 10 years ago, maybe.
That was pretty clear. And just to let you know, guys, this is our very first episode, and this guy is nailing it. Okay, so since you were talking about ad, so what is the best way to scale up the ad spend on marketing?
Okay, so first we'll talk about setting up the ads and then scaling up those ads. So first, I'll take a bit of time to explain setting up the ads. So for ads, there are majorly two or three things that you need to take into account. The first one is your offer, that is your messaging or communication or your copy, whatever you want to call it. Then comes the creative, that is super important, that makes your ad clickable. These days, videos perform much, much, much better than still creatives. So go for videos now, right? Or even test still creatives. And then the third thing is your geography and demography. Your geography, for example, if you're a business based out of, let's say, Fort Worth, Texas, then you need to then you need to run ads in Fort Worth, Texas only. There's no point in running ads in Chicago, obviously, right? So that's geography, and then psychography as well. For example, if you have a business that's a car detailing center, then you need to target men majorly, less females, more males, from the age group of somewhere around 20 to, let's say, 40. Those people own a car, and usually they're petrol heads as well. And then they have the money to spend on car detailing, because detailing isn't cheap. It's not like $50 a pop. It's like $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 for a specific car being detailed. So these four things first make up what kind of an ad you want to make. Once that's done, then comes step number two, that's testing. Out of all the creatives, copies, different audiences, different geographies that you're testing, now you need to understand which one performs best. Once you get the winning creative, you will get the winning mix. Now comes the time to start scaling up your ads. Now there are a few ways that you can scale up your ads. You could scale them vertically. You can scale them horizontally. What we usually do is that what I usually used to do when I was doing media buying back in 2015 and 2016, when I started off, was that first and foremost, what I did was that if there's a campaign and there are multiple ad sets that are being tested in it, I used to increase the budget for ad sets by 20% every 2 or 3 days, and then keep increasing that as long as I have a positive return on investment on that ad spend. That is return on ad spend or return on investment, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Once that done, then what we can do is that after increasing that budget, we can make duplicates of those ad sets as well. Well, I'm of the opinion that every ad set, every audience has a pocket that it targets. For example, if you're spending $200 on a specific ad spend on a daily basis and your overall audience size is around 2 million people, so you're not going to reach 2 million people just by spending $200. So what Meta actually does, again, it's not written anywhere. It's just out of my experience that I'm sharing this. Meta actually assigns a specific pocket. For example, there are 2 million people. That means that there might be 4 pockets of 500,000 people. So there's pocket A, B, C, and D, right? When we start running ads, let's assume we go to pocket A first. And then our ad spend starts from like $30 a day and goes up to $200 a day. And now we want to tap into the pocket number B, right? So what we need to do for that, even if we start scaling up our ads and we keep increasing the budget, we're not going to go into the pocket B. So for that, we need to duplicate that ad set. Once we duplicate that ad set, we go into pocket B. Then duplicating again, we get into pocket C. That duplicating again, we get into pocket D. So that's one way of scaling. So the first one was increasing your budget. The second one was duplicating your ad sets, right? And this is all done under a campaign that uses ad set level budgets, right? Once these things are done, what we do next is that we make a CBO campaign, right? A campaign budget optimization campaign. And we just make a new campaign. We do not duplicate the existing campaign. We just make a new campaign. And then the winning creative, the winning target audience, the winning demography, geography, copies, whatever we have, we just put that up into one CBO campaign, give it a decent budget of, let's say, like $150 a day. And then we start running that ad. These are just a few tips that I can share quickly with you about scaling ads. There are multiple things that can be done, different funnels that can be created as well, depending on your service, your product, whatever you're offering. But on the top of my head, this is something that we can stick to.
Well, that was, I would not say it was a very, like there were few tips. I would say this guy is like, filled with experiences and all. For how long you've been doing this?
2011, started off in 2011, man. Started off my digital marketing career in 2011, and then trajectory came into being in 2016. So 2016 was all board after that.
So that, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And you've been, you still read about it, you still get knowledge, more knowledge.
100%. Unlike a doctor, if I don't read, I don't stay up to date with the latest technologies, the latest trends, and then I die out. But I have people in the team who are even better than the things that I do, and that's why I can always bank on them. And I can always talk to a billion-dollar company knowing that my team has got my back.
Well, that's amazing. And like, is there like any incident that you had to face where you had to explain your client that, okay, you cannot do this, you have to do this? Or was there any sort of event like that?
Yeah, 100%. There are multiple events, right? So I was watching this reel. I think it was from Neil Patel, right? Or some other big marketer, right? They said that you need to stay away from helicopter clients, right? So helicopter clients, what they explained was that a client that is always on your head and is looking at every move that you're making, and they want to be involved in the whole process, and they do not trust you, right? So obviously we've had a lot of helicopter clients as well. And then we've had clients where they used to give us hundreds and thousands of dollars of ad spend, and they would say, just do your thing, do your magic, just bring us results. Performance is all they wanted, right? So again, they've been different experiences, different people, different niches coming to us. So it's been very, very different. So I think that sort of answers your questions, Matt.
It does, man. It really does. And I've actually heard about Red Bull doing something, related to marketing as well. I don't know. I was reading some article and they did something really crazy, and people were like, "Okay, this is their whole scheme." And
so that was, as far as I remember. Again, I didn't see it myself. It's hearsay at the end of the day. So what I read was that when Red Bull was launching, or when it launched after a certain point in time, what Red Bull, because it was super expensive compared to the other things, right? Other energy drinks, maybe. So what they used to do is that they used to dump empty cans of Red Bull right outside of a club, right? And then just fill that trash can with Red Bull cans, right? Empty cans. And then what people thought was that the people who were standing in line, they thought that everyone inside they're having a Red Bull. So as soon as they went inside, and they saw that beautiful small refrigerator filled with Red Bull, they used to go and grab that. So that was one tactic that Red Bull uses. And again, I've said this in a few reels that we've done earlier as well, that the way that Red Bull has its community, its adventure, sports, adrenaline based community, that's amazing. Because Red Bull, when you open up the Instagram handle or the TikTok handle for Red Bull, you do not see their product shots. You look at their adventure driven shots. You look at people snowboarding, people skydiving, people racing in a rally or something, or a sprint or a marathon, like the Chicago Marathon, the Dubai Marathon, maybe that's sponsored by Red Bull, F1 being sponsored by Red Bull. So that's how they've actually they've developed their brand. So adrenaline adventure is now directly associated with Red Bull. Just like if I say the word cola, right? What comes to your mind? Oh, exactly. When I say the word diaper, what comes to your mind?
Pampers,
Exactly. And what do you say when I say vodka?
I would say absolute.
Perfect. So because these brands are now SIMs, right? People say that, okay, I'm going to go grab Pampers, even if they're not getting the brand for Pampers. So the way that they've positioned their brand in the consumer's mind is so strong that that noun is now associated with a brand, right? So that's amazing. I know it took a lot of time. It took millions and millions of dollars to get to this specific point in time. But again, they've done it, right? So we need to aim for that as well for every brand. And that's my dream, that the brands that we work with, we get them registered as a noun in a consumer's mind.
Of course, they, you're definitely gonna do it. And like, what are the common mistakes that, let's say, people make, or businesses out there they make in doing this kind of marketing?
Okay, so be it a small brand or be it a big brand, there is one common mistake that I've seen across the board, that is focusing more on sales and focusing less on building a brand. So this actually resonates to the point that we were discussing earlier right now. Uh, I think that people need to build brands, right? And once the brand is big enough, the sales will keep coming in. You won't be able to stop those sales then if it's as big as you want it to be. So focusing on sales is very important as well, but sales is a byproduct of a brand being created, right? If you've made a brand, you get sales, right? But it's not necessary that you're getting sales and you have a strong brand created behind it. And this could relate to a coach that's selling a service, a coaching seminar for, let's say, $50,000 a pop, or this could be small things like toffees, like Foxes, for example, right? It could be Cadbury, right? A chocolate. So it's all about building a brand. The stronger the brand is, the easier the sale is. The cost of customer acquisition drastically goes down if your brand is known. If your brand is unknown, you have to convince people. You need to first make people understand the functional benefits of your products and then take them to the emotional benefits of the product as well. But if you have a strong emotional connection to your brand, you have a strong community, you have a strong brand presence, that way people convert much, much easier, bringing your cost of customer acquisition down and increasing the customer lifetime value too. So you make more money at the end of the day for a business.
That's great, and that also reminds me of one of your, a very outspoken lines as well: "Sell feelings, not products." Right? That's
Yeah.
what you said in your reel as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today, folks, and I hope you guys learned a lot from our very first podcast, and follow for more.